Welcome, Viking admin. So you have a server or you have been assigned as an admin on a server? Well, that gives you the option to, well, do more things. Isn't that cool? But what can you really do, and how do you actually get assigned as an admin on your server? Even if it's your own server, how do you do that? And that is exactly what I'm going to go through today. How you assign yourself as admin on your server or maybe on your friend's server, and what you can do once you are an admin. There's a few commands there. And there's a specific configuration file that you have to edit. First thing, go onto the server, hit F2. And as you see here, there's some information up here. You can see, for instance, the server world that I've been obfuscating here. And there's some information about your FPS and everything. Also, it'll tell you which players are online. You'll see this is Vedui, and you'll see a number behind there. And you might be wondering, what's that number? It's actually your Steam 64 ID. So if you've been working with that previously in other games, you probably already know what it is. But otherwise, this is the number that is linked to your Steam profile that you'll be using for admin listing purposes. So take a note of this one. But let's say you have now gotten that number, the ID rather. So where you go, actually, you go to your location on your dedicated server, which usually is under the user, app data, local low, Iron Gate, and Valheim. You'll see a bunch of folders here, character, screenshot, and words. But the one you want is actually admin, ban list, permit list, etc. And in this case, you want to do admin list. You want to double click to open it up. And it will tell you list admin players ID 1 per line. So what I've done here, I've added mine up. Then you simply save. And now you're an admin. And the same thing works for banned list or for permitted list, in case you want to have a permitted list so that only specific players, their Steam IDs, can actually connect to your server. Now, how do you do this if you have a hosted solution? Well, for instance, on PingPerfect, and I do have a guide for how to rent a server for PingPerfect in my description below, including a discount code. You go to configuration files. Once you're there, you click text editor for the admin list, and it will open up the same file as you saw before, where you basically put in your ID. Nothing more to it than that. So now that you have actually admin listed yourself, you hit F5, and you'll see, if you type help, you can see the different commands that you can actually use here. You have kick, you have ban, unban, banned, ping, load bias info. And actually, I believe there's also a save one that nowadays, as of the last patch, actually allows you to save the world down to the database file. Really, really important, because you want to make sure you save before you shut things down. So kicking, banning, unbanning is pretty straightforward. You basically use the name or the IP or the user ID of the user that you'll be able to see. The game doesn't have a lot of very good permission levels, so you probably want to make sure that you only allow friends that you trust to have the password. But if you're having some issue with someone coming on that shouldn't be, it gives you a way to kick or ban them. You can also type ban. That gives you a list of all the banned users, which in my case is none, because I permit all of them that have my password, which of course I only give away to friends. Ping gives you the information of what's the ping reply to the server. Now, this is not necessarily the latency that you're having to the server. Ping and latency, even though they often sort of go hand in hand, they are not necessarily the same. In this case, it says that my ping is 188, but my latency to the servers is usually about 80 or something for the server location that I have. Info can be useful. It'll just tell you a little bit of its multi-threaded and how much memory it has allocated. As you can see, 138 megabyte is actually not a lot of space for a server. The Valheim server is comparably small. One command that you want to be a little bit careful about is the load bias, and this is the distance of, well, things loading in. It's a value from 1 to 5, and 1 being the smallest and 5 being the highest. Generally, higher values can impact your performance. And that is how simple it is to administer your own server, at least in-game. Now, there are not a lot of options. Unfortunately, they recently added that save command that allowed you to save things. Usually that was only available solo or locally, but they have enabled that remotely as well. And I hope that they continue to adding some of these server admin features, because there's a lot of things that you can do. For instance, solo player, you can fly around, you can move your camera around and stuff like that. And there's no reason why admins couldn't do that even on the multiplayer server, because let's say you want to check to see where someone is, someone's gotten stuck, and you might want to teleport over there and stuff like that. You can't do that right now, but I'm assuming that's something that the developers are looking at adding on slowly and surely to make the game a little bit more multiplayer admin friendly. But I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a guide. I do have a playlist of my Valheim guides in the description at the top, so go check out that playlist and check out some of the other videos. Good luck, Viking!
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.